Hello, everybody. My name is Kari, and I'm a part of UVU's Interfaith Leadership Fellows and the host of UVU Worldview Project. We are so excited to share the stories of 4 different students with different worldviews, beliefs, and perspectives. After interviewing each of these individuals, we will get back together as a group to discuss what we learned and ways that we hope to build interfaith dialogue here at UVU. I hope you enjoy these discussions as much as I did hosting them.
Gabe, our king, we are so happy to have you here today. This is also my first time chatting with Gabe.
Yes.
So
okay.
I am so excited to have a little yap sesh. Just to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Gabriel. I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, and I came here to the US to study information systems at BYU. I am a gay and Catholic student that goes to BYU, which is very weird and rare to find, but I am one of the very few people that can fit into those categories at BYU. And I really love participating and organizing interfaith activities at BYU, as well as any activities that include like belonging or diversity. One of my greatest joys of at BYU is being the co-president for the Merit, Inclusion, and Belonging Association. And so what we do with this club is we just create events and to raise awareness and to educate people at the Business School of BYU on several complex topics like LGBTQ or eating disorder awareness or just neurodivergence. And it's just so many topics that we just want to educate people a little bit on the Business School about. So that's me.
I love, he's an interfaith king. He has his credentials, which is going to make this such a good conversation. So I'm so excited. Just to start, it sounds like you kind of did tell us a little bit about your background. Share with us just a little bit more about your background within organized religion.
So I would say my experience with organized religion is very extensive. I was born and raised Catholic, and I was born and raised in Peru. So it's a country that it's mostly just Catholic. So Catholicism was built into our curriculum at school. Our first communion was part of the curriculum. Our confirmation was part of the curriculum. And so for me, being Catholic, it was mostly just kind of following the rules of what the school would say, of whatever the Pope would say, it would be translated into the curriculum of the school, and then it would just kind of adapt what we do.
Yeah.
And so it was mostly just blindly following what people would say, because it was just everybody was Catholic, and it kind of made it seem like nobody was, because it was just such a part of the culture that we just didn't ask questions about our religion outside of school.
Yeah.
It was just I guess I never thought of my religious identity until I came here to BYU, because I feel like because of so many people being Catholic, it's just okay, this is an assumption that we make, and this is something that we just don't talk about outside of school or just after a Sunday. But then coming here to BYU, it was just an entirely different experience. It made me reflect on my beliefs and do I actually believe Catholicism, and it made me actually challenge those beliefs.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
So how do you feel like your experience moving to Utah County, kind of being exposed to different worldviews, how do you feel like that's changed what you do believe now?
I would say that it's kind of made me stronger in my faith in some sense. I don't think I would consider myself to be very Catholic, I would say, just because of yes, I do believe in the Bible, and yes, I do believe in Christ, and yes, I do believe in the Holy Trinity. But I would say more in the social aspects, that's when I differ a lot from what the Pope says and what other people say. I think coming to BYU, it made me just learn about other religions, not just LDS and Catholicism, and it made me focus on the similarities. And so it expanded my knowledge on how I view the Bible and the readings, because I would hear another take on how to interpret this reading that all my life I just interpreted in one way, and now I got a different way to view it. And it just it's made me learn a lot about like humility and faith and gratefulness and just so many values that I've learned here at BYU, here in Utah County, and it's because of interfaith. It's because of like I was like very willing to learn about like the LDS religion, and it's kind of a supplemental like component to what I already believe, and it's kind of helped me strengthen my own faith because of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you moved here from Peru.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a culture shock to you? How would you describe your initial experience with moving here and being in just a completely different place?
Yeah, it was a double shock because it was not only the U.S. culture, but it was a Utah culture, which is very different. And I remember my first week, people would say mission, RM, and just like all this like acronyms and vocabulary that I've never heard in my life, and I was completely lost.
Yes.
And so it was very shocking to just learn about something that I wasn't familiar with, because I was not familiar with the LDS religion at all until I heard about BYU, and I was like, okay, it's cheap and it's good, so I'll do it. But on the other hand, there's a lot of like nice people. There's like a lot of charity here in Utah County, here in Provo. It's like a lot of volunteering opportunities, or people opening the door for you, even though you're like 100 feet away from it. So you kind of have to walk faster.
Run.
Yeah. So it's like small things like that have helped me become a better person, because it's like the kindness is very contagious. And that's something that I'm really grateful for Utah County to have like given me. It's like this culture has taught me to be a better human, and more to pay attention to people, and to be more empathetic, and just like all these things that I just hadn't taken into consideration back home, but I can see it every day here in Utah, that it's like impossible not to, take part in that.
I love that. I loved what you said about moving here and being able to find your own community and your own sense of family, like while you've been here. I wanted to ask you a little bit about those family connections kind of growing up, and what those kind of relationships look like now. Do you feel like you are still connected to the same religious background you grew up in? Or what has it been like for you to just discover your own identity and your own beliefs?
I think as I've grown older, I've started to describe like my beliefs as kind of like Catholic adjacent. I just feel like, yes, I believe like what Catholicism teaches you, but at the same time, just learning more about other people, their worldviews, and what maybe the Pope says that I may disagree. I feel like I've kind of sort of branched out of Catholicism. I just feel like some people maybe wouldn't consider me to be Catholic, because I am very like pro-choice, or pro-gay marriage, or all all for trans people. And so I feel like socially, I feel like these ideas that I do believe have sort of like made me think that I am a little bit branched out of my religion, because I think on paper that wouldn't support, being pro-choice, or being all for gay marriage and stuff like that. So I feel like me growing older and learning about all these perspectives, and me being gay, and just me learning from other people, it has sort of evolved into this like different religion from what I used to believe when I was a kid. But I think it is a good thing, because I don't think religion should be very unified in thought. I think the beauty of religion is the diversity in thought that you can find among its people. And I feel like you can find that in like the LDS community. You have like so many like different people that believe in like so many different things. And I think it's like, it makes it a really beautiful and like a true community, that there's like diversity in thought. Because I feel like if everybody believed in the same thing, it would make things a little like
Yes, I think we try to make things so black and white, but they just aren't.
Exactly.
Like we live our lives in the gray area, and I think you bring up a great point about interfaith relationships and interfaith work within the same religious constructs because we view things so differently. Even if some of our core values are the same, we have those interfaith relationships with people who would classify themselves in the same religious group. And I agree. I think there's so much beauty in that diversity, and just realizing like, this is what sticks with me. This is what resonates with me. And this brings me joy and happiness in my life. So I'm going to continue to follow those things. And sometimes there are other things that just don't work, that just don't fit our lives and what are important to us. And so I love the idea of being able to have a faith and worldview that is your own, even if you are drawing from other religious groups. So I love that. What is one stereotype about people who share your beliefs or your identity that you would change if you could?
I would say that a stereotype that just in general, I guess for Catholics or for gay Catholics specifically, or just for any gay person that's in any religion that I would like to talk about, is the level of spirituality that everybody has. I feel like from what I've experienced, it's like once they hear about your sexuality and your spirituality, they think of them as it's either one or the other. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. I feel like it's a mutual relationship. It's like they help each other to kind of, your sexuality helps your spirituality, and your spirituality helps your sexuality. Depends on how you how you handle those two relationships, I guess. But I just feel like it's a big stereotype that I've heard that it's like, yeah, you're gay, so you're maybe just not, you don't go to church, or you're gay and you just don't believe in these things. But I just feel like that's just, it depends on every human. It's just like as any person. It doesn't matter your sexuality, your level of spirituality, it can be really low, but it can also be really strong. It's such a big spectrum of belief, I guess.
So you kind of mentioned this before. You are an outlier in a sense in BYU in two big ways. The first being that you're not LDS, and the second being you're a part of the LGBTQ plus community. So tell me a little bit about what that experience has been like for you. Do you feel like it's been mostly positive? Have you had any negative or disappointing experiences just with your identity within a culture like BYU?
Yeah. So I would say it's been great overall. I've loved it. When I got into BYU, and that was kind of the choice that I was going to make, I thought that I was gonna have to be like in two closets. It was like, you're either a non-member, and then you also have to come out as gay to people. And so sometimes when I say, oh yeah, I'm not a member, and it like people open their eyes really wide, and then you say you're gay, and it's
they're like, what?
Yeah, it's like double whammy, like you kill them. But
you killed them.
But it's just like finding your own people is the most important thing. And I'm really thankful to have so many friends that have made my experience at BYU and in Utah to feel like I'm like a big family. It's been amazing. And of course I had some like bad experiences. Like I remember my first couple weeks here at BYU, my first semester, I sat next to like this he's still my friend, like in a religion class. And when I told him I was a non-member, he was like really like eager to like help me in the class. And we were in like the quiet area of the library, and he was like helping me understand some of the scriptures. And then he says very like out loud, so do you believe in the Book of Mormon? And I'm like, this is my third week in school.
Okay.
Like, what am I gonna say? And it was a quiet area, and you could just see every single head turning and looking at us. And I was so uncomfortable. And I said, I was honest. I said, I don't. It's just, this is my first like month learning about the Book of Mormon and everything. So it's like, you cannot ask me this like so quick. And then he was like, no, it's fine. Like after we study a couple more weeks, like you'll be believing this. And I remember I was really shocked. And then one of my friends was actually in that room, I didn't know he was there. And then he sent me a DM on Instagram and he was apologizing for everything that happened, right? And so it was a very like bittersweet experience because like he's still my friend today, one of these days. But that's when I learned more about like the RM culture. He was like a recently returned missionary.
He's like, let me convert you.
Yeah, he was in that, he had that mindset, and like something that it really helps me to feel like not feel bad at all about these situations is that they are doing this because they want the best for you, and it comes from a place of love for you. And so maybe they're not executing that in like the best way possible, but just knowing that like this friend cares about me like that much, it means a lot. And even though like it sounds like a bad experience, it's like learning. I've had to change like this like mindset. It's like not that they hate that I'm a Catholic. It's just like because of what they believe in the plan of salvation. Like they want me to kind of be saved. And so it comes from a place of love. And so seeing that, it's like, it makes you feel a lot better when you start seeing things like that. And I've had more experiences, like missionaries hunted me down, like my first year of school. I cannot throw away any like picture of Christ. So I have a stack of the missionary, like of the picture. Yeah, it's like Spanish and English, and like it's just every single missionary. It's like, if you know anyone, like give it to, and they always give it to me. And so I just have it there. So it's just funny. I really like it. It's a cool experience.
Yeah, and it's good that it's easy for you to recognize within your friends and the people that you care about that it is just an expression of love. And I think that sometimes is a hard bridge to gap in building interfaith dialogue because there has to be a mutual respect and understanding of, okay, this is what I believe and this is what you believe. And sometimes in an effort to share what is important to us and what we believe, there is this sense of like, so do you want to believe what I believe instead of what you believe? So it is a fine line. And I can see that being difficult in a place like BYU where a lot of people had served missions, and it is so embedded in the culture to share what you believe and invite others to believe the same. But it's good that you have a positive perspective of being able to recognize, okay, this is coming from a place of love. I think that does allow there to be a lot more space for those friendships. So I love that you have that perspective. I also just want to create a space for us to talk about something that may be a little bit more personal. But I wanted to ask you, have you experienced any moments of conflict between your identity and your faith? And if you have, how have you navigated that?
I feel like when I came to terms with my sexuality, that's when all the challenges and all the conflicts within who I was and what I believe in, like they just collided. Because gay marriage is not like a thing that's allowed in the Catholic Church. I initially remember that I remember that I initially thought that I had to like pick one or the other. But I think I was very lucky to have been born in an era of change, in the positive side. I feel like not only like the Catholic Church, but also like the LDS Church, they're moving towards a more like accepting and loving place. When we had Pope Francis, I remember he talked about like gay people, and so it's like, if gay people want to be closer to Christ, like who are we to judge them? And so just like hearing the right leaders talk positively about like who I am, and it just kind of made me more. It just made me happier to be, Catholic, and it made me more. It just made me understand more that it's like not one or the other, but like my sexuality can go like along with my spirituality, and so I guess listening to the right leaders was something that helped me a lot, and talking to the right people. Like I have a very supporting family, and they are very traditional when it comes to like Catholicism, but they are still very loving, and they're always asking me, when am I gonna bring them a guy? And like they're always talking about like my future wedding. So it's like, it's just finding your right people, finding your right leaders, and just finding the circle that, will accept you and love you no matter what, and that will make you feel like it's not one or the other, that you can also be a gay Catholic, I guess.
Yes, there's just so much complexity to this life, and I don't think that any faith was meant to be so restricting.
Exactly.
I think at the end of the day, what makes God the happiest is just when we want to have a relationship with him.
Exactly.
And there is a sense of comfort in knowing that that really looks whatever way you need it to look and whatever way you want it to look. I also think it makes it so much easier when you have friends and family that just love and support you regardless. I think it also builds faith and confidence in your worldview when you have family and friends who come from that same worldview that still can be open and loving and accepting. Yeah. So I think kind of along those lines, just there's so many things that Catholics believe, and there's so much value in a lot of those principles and that knowledge. But what is one or two things within your worldview that you believe that just are such a fundamental part of who you are and how you live your life?
That's a really good question. I would say the number one thing is that there is a God that loves me and that protects me and that will always have my back. I think that gives me a lot of comfort in how I live and how I treat other people and how I treat myself. I think knowing that there is someone out there that's like has this like this very powerful being that's like looking to protect me all the time, that's like something that gives me a lot of comfort and helps me appreciate life a lot more. And so that's like one thing that I've always keep in mind. And I would say the second thing, the commandments, I would say it's something that I also keep a lot in mind, especially like treat your neighbor. You know, that one commandment is like something that I kind of abide by because I always love to treat people with kindness and with love, and just knowing that there is a set of 10 commandments that I can follow and that will help me be a better person to myself and to other people and to my family and to God. I think it's like something beautiful and something that I've incorporated into my daily life as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, I want to kind of direct a little bit more towards maybe some assumptions that you have about other worldviews or faiths that you're not as familiar with. So just off of the top of your head, what comes to mind when you hear someone identify as a deep ecologist? I
don't know what that means. What does that, deep ecologist?
I am also not entirely familiar with deep ecology. One of the girls that I'm interviewing is a deep ecologist. Cool. So we'll meet with her and she'll be able to explain to us a little bit more about what that means. But that's good. That's a good starting point.
I've never heard of that term.
I had never heard of it either.
Interesting.
So yes. What about when you hear the term or the religion Muslim?
I would say the word stereotype comes to mind when it comes to the Muslim religion. When I was kind of back in high school, I took a class where we learned a lot about like diversity of religion, of people, of everything. And one of the topics that we covered was how Muslims were treated after 9/11. And so I remember like advertisements on TV of people actively hating on them after what happened on 9/11. And I just feel like just attacks like that, they just overpower like how beautiful that religion actually is. And it kind of tarnishes their name a lot. And so I feel like there's this like now like big, there are so many big stereotypes that kind of overrule what this religion actually means. And it's just really sad to see like that, you know, because I feel like I also like fall into that like bucket of people who like believe in these stereotypes until I have like actually do some research and talk to some people at BYU, or like just go on the internet and try to find a lot more and just find that it's like simply not true. But I just feel like post 9/11, I feel like it's just been a really, really sad moment for Muslims, just because there's just so much hate going towards them all the time. And it's just really sad to see that.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about how our culture and historical events play into some of these huge misconceptions we have about large faith groups. And I think it's cool that you could acknowledge, I think especially for you coming from a place where there have been times in your life where you have felt misunderstood and there's been a question of belonging. I think it makes it a lot easier for you to turn around and be able to really acknowledge how some of those misconceptions can be damaging for other religions and faith groups. And I think having that sense of empathy and curiosity and understanding is really the beginning of building interfaith dialogue between worldviews and religious groups that maybe do view things very differently. So I think having that level of understanding is just a great way to start when it comes to building some of these interfaith relationships. Just to finish off, if somebody listening doesn't know about your experience or your beliefs, what would you want them to take away from your story?
I would say to approach every interaction with empathy. I think that's something that I briefly touched on that I really like more people to kind of like take away from whenever I tell my story. It's just empathy. You don't have to relate to other people's experiences, but just their emotions, right? And so in this like interfaith space, it's hard to relate to other people's experiences if they belong to a different religion. But if you approach like all your interactions with empathy on like how other people like feel these things, I feel like that is gonna make you understand how they feel and how you can learn from them. And so what gives other people revelation, might also be helpful for you, because there's times in my life where I felt revelation, but I've never heard that term before. And so it's just like, I don't approach that from the experience, but I approach it from the emotions that they feel and how like they communicate with God. And that has taught me a lot more on how to like strengthen my own faith based on other people's religions. And I would say another thing is to always ask questions. I feel like instead of making assumptions, at least like the people that I know that are in like the interfaith work, we always love when people ask questions, and there shouldn't be any fear of like, I feel like maybe offending with questions, because if you're genuinely wanting to learn more about our religion, or you just have any questions that you like need to be answered, everybody should be more than happy to like help you learn and just like answer that question with love, and so yeah, instead of assumptions, ask questions, and it can be about your religion or your sexuality or how you reconcile both. So yeah, I would say that.
I love that. I think that goes back to the minute we stop asking questions, the minute we stop being curious, that's when we really start to run into problems.
Exactly.
Being able to keep that open dialogue is what keeps us safe as a community.
Yeah.
It's what helps us continue to build relationships. So I love that you touched base on how important curiosity is. And empathy. Empathy is like one of my favorite words ever. So I love that you touched base on that. And I think you're such a great example of that. I think especially coming from a different culture and trying to find your way in this new community. I think there's two ways that we can handle trials in our life, and it's either to gain a sense of empathy or to gain a sense of distrust. So it says a lot about you and your character that you've allowed these experiences to be an opportunity to grow empathy. I can feel the vibes. I can tell that talking to you. So thank you so much for being here. I've loved speaking with you. You're just awesome.
Thank you. This has been a great opportunity. Just amazing questions. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any questions or are interested in learning anything more about what we discussed in our podcast today, there are links in the description below.